I was taking a walk through the woods the other day and I stumbled upon an old house. It ran parallel to a set of rusted, long, discussed railroad tracks. I was surprised it was still standing. The walls were caving in and most of the siding was gone. I walked to the front porch and peered inside. It looked like a normal entryway of a dilapidated house. Broken stairway, rotten floors, a few archways that led into dark areas I couldn't see without going inside. I was about to turn and leave when I saw a slip of paper lying on the floor near the base of the staircase. It was damp and slightly moldy. Obviously, it had been there for a long time. I picked it up, sat on the front porch, and read it. Here it is, and in its entirety. When we were kids, they told us to stay away from the house by the railroad tracks. Whenever we asked why or what was inside it, parents, teachers, everyone we asked would say there was nothing. Nothing at all inside. Us kids were usually good about following those kinds of rules, but what kid hears a resection on an area and then doesn't immediately go there? That's what me and Beth did. When we got here, we climbed the porch steps and looked inside. It was so dark. We thought it was odd, even at the time, that no light from the afternoon sun permitted the space within the house. When we called into the darkness, it echoed, like the space inside was much larger and cavernous than it should have been. That should have been the warning for us, but we just dismissed it as some kind of acoustic problem and left. Beth came to school the next day in tears. She said her cat, Lucky, had run away. Her and her parents had spent most of the previous night searching for him and were going to continue to do so after school. I said I would help, and we set off that afternoon. Her parents went off in another direction and we headed towards the house. A few minutes later, as we were nearing it, we began to hear something. It was light at first, but as we got closer, the louder it became. It was a cat meowing and purring. As the house came into sight, it reached the crescendo, filling the air. Something gray and white moved on the porch. Bethany squealed in delight and ran forward, arms outstretched. I ran after her, eyeing it the closer we got. The gray thing moved inside the open front door and disappeared into the darkness. The meowing continued. Beth ran up the steps and was about to run full force into the house before I caught her around the waist. Hoisting her back, she cried and protested and started clawing at my arms to get me to let her go. I told her to listen. She stopped her protests and quieted. Meowing continued from inside, but it sounded strange. It was echoed and distant, like it was coming from the other side of a vast expanse. I told her I didn't think it was Lucky in there. She asked me what could be making the noise if it wasn't him. I guided her off the porch and we slowly started back up the hill. The meowing seemed to lose its intensity and slowly die away, eaten up by the sounds of the forest. As we crossed over and started down the other way, it ceased altogether. Lucky came home the next morning, probably gone for a day hunting in the woods. Beth thanked me for my help, and we didn't speak of the incident that happened in that house. A few months passed. The weather got colder and we went out into the woods less and less. Christmas break was coming up and we had almost completely forgotten about the house. Beth didn't show up for school the day before finals. I was sort of surprised to walk into class that morning and not see her. If she wasn't going to be there, she usually messaged me. I talked to the teacher who, in turn, told us that her parents hadn't called to say that she wouldn't be there. Calling her mom at work, we found out that Beth had left for school but apparently never arrived. Police were called and searched in and around her house. Her backpack and outdoor wear were gone, along with her car. She had apparently shown full intention of going to school. A few hours later, they found her car in a ditch beside a back road near the woods. The main way had been closed due to the snow buildup, and she had been attempting to find another way when she had lost control and crashed. However, she wasn't in the car. The snow had covered up any tracks she would have made, and the weather conditions made searching almost impossible. Not that the town didn't try. A small group of townsfolk who were willing to brave the weather to look for her gathered outside the police station, myself included. We were each given a flashlight and headed into the woods, calling her name. I knew where I was headed the moment the group thinned out as we broke off into teams. The girl I was supposed to be partnered with was off doing her own thing, and therefore didn't notice when I slipped away. I made the now familiar trek to the now familiar hill and listened. Nothing but silence. Crescenting the rise, I looked down. The white snow contrasted heavily against the dark boards of the house. The snow creeped up the porch in thin streaks, as if it had been stamped down by many feet. Lying by the doorway was a shock of blonde hair and what looked like a pink jacket. I rushed towards it, nearly tripping over myself in the heavy snow. The blonde and pink shapes in the distance lumbered into darkness. Whether because it was pulled or did it itself, I wasn't sure, but I couldn't take any chances. I called her name, nearing the porch. The doorway stood there like a wide-open mouth from within, but this time without an echo, was a short whimper. I stopped right at the threshold, squinting my eyes. I peered into the blackness that seemed to sweep into the house as naturally as a wave. No light could be seen, not even the brightness of the late afternoon sun that reflected off the snow. The whimpering came again. In the end, I guess it was fear that won. I didn't want to go in, to be sure, but the fear that Beth was inside and possibly hurt was enough to make me place a tentative step inside. I relaxed a bit, calling her name one more time. No answer, but the sound came again. I crossed the threshold. I expected to lighten up at least a little bit when I entered, but no such thing happened. I put my arms out to feel for walls or a staircase or a door frame, anything to indicate this place had something inside of it other than darkness. I walked a few feet forward, then a few feet back. Nothing slipped past my fingers. The sound now appeared to be distant. I turned to go back the way I came, but the doorway, a portal to the snowy world beyond, now appeared to be about 20 feet away. Impossible. I had walked in 5 at most. I took a step towards it, and it thrust itself backwards until it was just a tiny dot on the horizon of my vision. How long ago that was? I'm not sure, but it's been quite a while. Every day I start my trek towards the door. It never gets any closer or any further away. No matter how long I walk, how tired my legs get, or how long I stop to rest, it never moves. Deep down, I suppose I know it's fruitless, but I still walk anyway. My thirst and hunger are gone, so is my need for sleep. The only time I stop walking is to rest when my legs feel like they're burning. Then I sit, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, just enough until I feel well enough to walk again. The door is always miles ahead, but sometimes it moves. It floats in the air like a firefly high above me, impossibly but undeniably there. Sometimes it's far below me, a point of light in a deep champs. I guess I'll never find out if it was Beth I saw on the porch that day I came in. Escape seems impossible, so I'll never know if she's home safe, wondering where I am, or in the same situation as I. Everyone was right. There really is nothing in this house by the railroad tracks. A whole lot of nothing. But every once in a while, when the door moves, I hear faint laughter from somewhere off in the distance. And sometimes, just sometimes, the light from the door is blotted out for a moment, as if something large is moving in front of it. And I'm left to wonder, who is there? As you can probably guess, the note ended up freaking me out. I left it on the front porch of the house and went home to bed. Waking up in the morning, I decided to do a little research. I didn't know the name of whoever wrote the note, or even their gender, so I didn't have much to go on. The reference to texting, but no social media, seemed to indicate sometime between 2004 and 2010. I searched for any missing people named Beth in the county during this period of time, but nothing came up. I find the contents of the note hard to believe for obvious reasons. I stepped into the house myself and nothing like that happened in the note. I'm sure it's either a prank or a work of someone with serious mental issues. But there's just one thing. When I stepped into the doorway of the house for the first time, I blocked the light from outside. And somewhere, faintly, perhaps from within the walls, I heard a soft whimpering.